Do you know that thousands of Nigerians lose millions of naira to real estate scams? Imagine buying land only to find out that you bought from the wrong owner, or the land is under government acquisition, or the documents that the seller represented to you are fake documents. Imagine discovering that the property has hidden legal issues. Now, what if I told you that you could have prevented any of these scenarios with proper due diligence before purchasing the property? If you're planning to buy a property worth 20 million naira and above in Lagos, Oyo, or Osun states in Nigeria, and you want to avoid losing your money to scams through proper due diligence, make sure to stay with me till the end of this video. I will be walking you through what real estate due diligence is, why it is important for you as an investor, real life cases of how due diligence has saved people from losing millions of naira, and how you can use our expert, comprehensive best-selling due diligence services for that property of yours. Stay with me to the end and don't miss any part of it. So what exactly is real estate due diligence? The same way when you want to put your children in a school or you want to make a purchase, you go ahead and find out the necessary information. It's the same way you should do due diligence when you're buying real estate. You want to be sure that the seller who is representing themselves as the seller has the legal authority to sell, and that that property itself has no hidden legal issues. Is the property free from government acquisition? Does the seller have legal rights to sell? Do they have legal authority to sell that property? Are the documents the seller is representing to use to sell that property, are they authentic and legal? Does that property has the necessary approvals from the relevant authority, depending on the type of property that you are buying? As Charis Legal Practice, we go beyond just surface checks. Here are the things that we go ahead and conduct. We do our due diligence on the seller. What's the identity of the seller? What is the proof of ownership of the seller? Does the seller have the legal authority and validity to sell that property? What's the title proof of that property? The seller who is selling, what's the proof? Is it oral? Is it document? Are those documents forged or are they authentic? Can those documents legally pass ownership? Because not all documents, whether registered or not registered, can legally give you ownership of a property. Also go ahead and find out if the land is free from government acquisition, because that's very, very important. When we are uncovering the identity of the seller, if the seller is a company, we also want to be sure that the company is duly registered with the necessary regulatory agency that is in charge of business entities in Nigeria. In addition, we will also engage a surveyor to check the location of the property, because we've had instances where people put themselves forward as selling a particular property, but the physical location does not tally with the location of the property as stated in the documents. And we want to ensure that we are on all fours, both with the seller and the physical location of the property and the documents. If it is a house, is there a building approval for that property, or is it in the works? It's important to also note that. Real estate is a huge investment and you cannot afford to take chances, because when you take chances, most times you're losing millions of money, millions of naira, hard-earned money. Let me share with you two real life scenarios. One, we were able to save the clients hard-earned money, about 30 million. However, in the other scenario, the clients did not do due diligence on time, unfortunately. So in this first scenario, our client was going to buy this plot of land in Lagos. It was 30 million, everything looked legit. The seller said they had the document, was registered at the registry, and the buyer engaged our services to do legal due diligence on this property. Now, here is what we found shocking during our investigation. Tracing the history of the property, the history of the ownership of the property, the root of title, we discovered there was a fundamental defect with the history of ownership of that property, which would affect every subsequent person who buys that property. Now, you may be shocked and you're thinking, well, but Tosin, you said that the land had registered documents. Yes, it's trite and it's clear, and there are several Supreme Court cases to that effect. The registration of documents at registry does not cure a defect in title. How do you know a defect in title? You need a seasoned property lawyer to examine whatever documents the seller has to be sure that you can stand the rigors of cross-examination. That is where you can say that the document is safe and is legally valid to transfer ownership. The registry does not go through the procedure of checking for defects in title. All right. So it's very important that you clarify that. It's very, very important when you are buying property that you confirm that there's no defect in the history or the root of ownership of that property as it's passed from one person to another. Another shocking thing we discovered was that the land physically did not tally with the land that was referred to in those documents. And that was because, as part of the due diligence, we'll also engage a surveyor to check the physical location of the property and be sure it tallies and that the land is not under government acquisition. We were shocked to discover that the land was different and it was under government acquisition. If our client had gone ahead to buy that property, he would have simply lost his money, 30 million naira, sadly. But because of his timely decision to do due diligence before purchasing the property, was able to save his earned money. The second story is not so interesting, and unfortunately didn't end well like our previous clients, because the second client had already bought the property, bought the land, developed it before she reached out to us for due diligence on the land. And we were shocked to discover that the land on which she built was right in the middle of a proposed military quarters in Lagos. Now, there are no issues currently with the land. The government has not come to say, oh, we've acquired this land and then we are ready to build the military quarters. But the thing with government acquisition is that the government can decide at any point in time that they are now ready to look at the plan that they have for the state and build infrastructure. And if at the time you were purchasing a property was already acquired, it is very risky for you, because then you will not be entitled to compensation. I have a video, I have a post that I'll put in the link below that talks more about that. Unfortunately, our clients, whilst the house is still standing, is not so sure that we don't know how long they could have for that house to be there, because it's government acquired, it's been acquired by the government duly. All right, and that is why due diligence is not something you should spare if you're buying property. It is a worthy investment for you to buy your buying property, and it should ideally be done before you buy property. All right, cases like this happen every day, and unfortunately many buyers do not know until it is too late. But if you're watching this video, I'm sure you've learned something that it's important to do the comprehensive due diligence before you purchase a property. So how then does this due diligence work? It's in 4 simple steps. You contact us, there's a link in the description box that talks about our due diligence service. You contact us, you fill in the details, we would reach out to you. We will then run all the necessary checks to verify the property, the physical location of the property. Is the land free from government acquisition? Who is the seller? Is he an individual? Is he a group of individuals, family land owned by a group of individuals, or a corporate entity under the Company and Allies Matters Act? Does the seller have the legal right and validity to sell? We trace the history of the title, to trace the root of title of that property to be sure there are no legal defects. The surveyor would also be there to check the land is not government acquisition and to do a physical inspection of the land, and that the land physically tallies with the land as described in whatever documents the seller is providing as their proof. And as those documents are authentic and they are not forged and they can pass title. After we run all the checks, we would also do the necessary searches if we have to do the search as the registry, the land registry, the court registry, the probate registry, the corporate affairs commission registry. Depending on each peculiar case, we would run all the necessary checks, and then we will do a detailed report explaining to you, detailing everything that we have found out and giving you our legal advice on whether to proceed with the property as it's good to go, or if you want to proceed, take the steps, or the issues we identified are irredeemable and it's better you don't go further than that. You will get a detailed report stating that. And the due diligence is conducted by a team of lawyers led by myself, I would also engage a surveyor to ensure that your hard-earned money is put to good use in your real estate investment. This due diligence service of ours is one of our best-selling real estate services, as you can see from the reviews on the screen. And if you're planning to buy a property worth 20 million naira and above in Lagos State, Ogun State, Osun State, and Oyo State, those are the 4 states where we offer our services for now. Feel free to use the link in the description box to book your due diligence to book your due diligence service with us. When you click the link in the description box, we'll get on a call with you. Either myself or a member of my team will get on the call with you so that I can answer any further questions that you have, and we can get started with the service. And feel free to check this channel for more interesting videos and enlightening videos on how to own scam-free real estate in Nigeria. I'll see you in the next